Hey there, chart friends. Lamont here from Chart Guys, checking in on the electric vehicle sectors. Not sectors, just that one electric vehicle sector. And a couple battery names. So, starting off with the weekly time frame here, I just have the TD sequential indicator pulled up. Just because I like it. I like it as for like macro looks. I find that many systems work better in on the macro scale, like the daily, weekly, monthly, plus the longer term time frame charts. I feel like I know most systems are really designed for that, especially like legacy strategies, right? From, more old school approaches. And the reason for that is really just that it's more accurate, right? There's less noise because it takes sustained volume to influence the longer time frame charts. So it must be meaningful. Buyers and sellers must have a lot of, I guess, conviction, right, and sustained pressure in order to make any kind of changes on the longer term time frame charts. Okay, so very often especially the more like complex systems, esoteric systems, one might even say, like Elliott wave and DeMark. I don't know if necessarily, whatever. It's a subjective thing, but DeMark I find works very well on longer term charts. Like you can see here, this just like a simple approach of the monthly support. Monthly TD support was a very great, it's a great signal. It's really just the low of this candle. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. Whoops. I forgot I had all these drawings up here. All right, well, let's get to it, okay? So right now on the monthly time frame for TD, we're on an 8. And when we get to a 9, we expect 1 to 4 bars of consolidation unless it gets negated with a green continuation of more green candles. Or rather, I should say green setup candles, these numbers up top. And that for that to be the case, the close just needs to be higher than the close 4 candles prior. So 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So this is why this close, when it closed here and it was above this close on this candle, it confirmed a green one. So this is a very bullish setup after a 9, all right? And I mean, a lot of aggressive TD traders would play that break with a stop under the 9 and then look for a series of 9 to another 9, I mean. All right, so we'll be mindful of that. And if we're looking back, they were not excellent signals, to be completely honest. There was an imperfect one here that did lead to a long consolidation. But you can see you had a continuation and then a failure. Well, technically not a failure because you don't get to a full buy setup. Very bullish monthly chart from a TD perspective. Okay. Anyway, so we're being mindful of the next month potentially closing as a 9. And if this 9 is a reversal candle, okay, if this month closes out and there's only a few days left, 3 days left, if this monthly candle closes out very strong, and then the next monthly candle closes very weak, let's say it's exactly like another Maribozu. Let's say we get a big Maribozu here, and then a big red candle here to match the volume as well. That would be a very powerful indicator of at least 1 to 4 bars of consolidation, but potentially a series looking for a completed 9 to the downside. All right, so that's the macro look. Just, we need a monthly higher low, and we are getting a little frothy. So something to be mindful of. That being said, there is continued news, positive headlines that are coming out. Right today, Biden signed in. Let's see, what is it? I don't think it was a signed initiative, but basically he was signaling or announcing that they would be the U.S. will be fast tracking its conversion of its vehicles from internal combustion to electric, right? So there's just constant news that's like potentially dropping, right? And it's hard to imagine what kind of bearish headlines could come, right? It would have to be some failure in technology or maybe a recall, right? So when you're thinking about the implications of news, it's something to consider, right? Like it's a point in the favor of bulls, right? So whether that makes you a little bit less bearish if you're looking bearish, or whether that makes you a little bit more confident being playing bullish, I don't know. I'm not trying to help you determine how to necessarily like gauge the overall sentiment, rather how you should perceive these sentiments and then work that into your own trading plans. So right now you see on the weekly time frame what we were speaking about. This was not a very strong reversal candle, and even still, you did get 1 bar of consolidation, and now it's looking like there's the potential of breakout here, right? So again, the TD trade would have been this green 2 over the green 1. So theoretically, if you were a purist TD trader, let me just kill some of this stuff here, you would have stop bought this 1 and anticipate a series to 9. So the chart is looking very strong still. And we're being mindful of this macro channel here, right? This channel that has contained structure very well. Let me just clean up this chart for a better look here. This channel has contained the Tesla move very well, okay? So we're constantly grinding this resistance line, and we can just keep doing that. We can just constantly grind higher without even breaking out. It's still very healthy. But should we start consolidation by breaking under the previous candle's low here? Oops. This candle's low here, I know it's being hidden, but it's 828.62. We'll really just be looking for a weekly higher low, with anything over 379.11 being one. So the chart is very strong, but it's it's very extended. Doesn't mean we have to pull back, but it's very extended. So just carry that forward. And now the daily chart, obviously we were watching this EQ. And now, let me just put on my, oh, that's right, we set up that trade for a bottom fish trade. So that's nice, that worked out, but whatever, we'll get to that. So the daily EQ is breaking bullish, and there was a new all-time high today. We did not see follow through, but at the end of the day, there was a bit of a liquidity break in the market. It got bought up right away, and so you can see here, Tesla, it's still closed relatively close to the high of day. It's still a strong close, although I don't think it's the highest close. Let's see. It is. It is the highest close by 78 cents. All right, so strong day for Tesla, and attempting to break out of this bullish EQ. I mean, this EQ bullish. We're being mindful of that macro channel resistance, which is just up ahead. It would be coming into play tomorrow around 960. All right, and let's see. We also know that the pivot for the year is right here, R1, right around 925. All right, so a little bit of confluence here of trend line resistance, the pivot as well. All right. So that being said, we'll just be mindful of the hourly trend. Let's check out the hourly trend. And it is still, let me turn this off here. Okay, so I guess I missed this little bottom fish by a bit. No biggie. All right, so the hourly trend is still bullish. However, the odds of a lower high being set under 940 cents is pretty good. I mean, they're obviously, because of the V-shaped nature of this rally, I don't love it. I don't love looking for a short there, but a lower high is very much on the table, even if that's just for a higher low into higher highs, because there's a lot of space for a higher low as well. And if the bulls can maintain over this range here, right, where all this consolidation took place, that would be excellent. And you can see the bears try to take it back into this area here, and they could not. If you re-enter a sideways range like this and you get like some acceptance here, typically you'd anticipate the low end to be tested as well. So if we had gotten some closes down here, I would not be surprised if we came all the way down here. But the bears were unable to get anything going. There probably was no 5-minute trend change confirmed down here, and the bulls just showed up again to V-shape this thing back to the high of the day. And I think the Biden news was announced after hours, so maybe a little bit of leak there. So bulls still very much in control, and we can be bottom fishing these levels. If these levels get tested again, primarily in oversold conditions, 5-minute oversold conditions. So if prices rips up and then we reject from here, set a lower high, and we come back down here, somewhere off of these highs maybe, and then into this close right here. I'm just looking at this last little close before I rip down and then a rip up. So maybe something like this to look to be bottom fishing this 862.23 level, looking for that potential continuation. Again, being mindful that there is some resistance up here. Although, of course, Tesla is a blue sky bull, and resistances are, I guess, more questionable, right? Just want to make sure the 5-minute would get extended. Would be. Okie dokie then. What's on our next guy? Ticker guy. All right, so NIO on the weekly time frame. I'm just gonna pull up my DeMark stuff again. All right, so NIO is a bit ahead of the curve in regarding the TD. Okay, so it's at a 9 right now. It's not a reversal candle, but if this gets ugly in 3 days, let's say we fall down to test this low here, or even break that low, and that prints as the 9, that would be a pretty powerful signal. And you can see here there was a decent buy signal, right? So yeah, on the weekly chart, we are at a 5 of 9. This is actually relatively strong. So if we can break this risk line, you know, I don't see why I don't see why NIO can't get a little bit more going. Honestly, this is very healthy weekly consolidation. So I guess it's all about this daily range. And right now, so you see we have this little consolidation period that is anticipated after the 9. You can see it was a pretty good signal here as well for a few bars of consolidation. Here, same, right? Same, okay. So we got the consolidation, and now bulls are hoping that it's just going to lead to more continuation. Now, this is not exactly what you want to see as a TD trader specifically. You want to see the two have more follow through, but also the one was not negated. And now for this next candle to be a green 3, it simply has to close above 57.71, which right now it's still over by 3%. Okay, so we'll see. The bulls are certainly not, they're not down and out. You know, they're currently defending these highs here. Right, we had all this consolidation down here. Oops, I guess we don't need that. Let me kill some of this stuff. So we had all this consolidation down here, and kill this. We had all this structure here consolidating sideways for quite a long time, and now the bulls are essentially defending that area as support. So as long as they can stay above this 55.38 level-ish, that would be a very good sign, a very good sign, you know. I'm still watching this big macro channel that the bulls were unable to get back into. It's already offered resistance twice, so I wouldn't be surprised if it were to offer resistance again, you know. And right now, it kind of looks like it's almost in another one too, right? One that's running in tandem to it. I don't want to really pull out the original macro channel because the bulls didn't earn it. They didn't break back into it. So I think if time peters out more, I'm going to close this channel out soon and then try to find some better structure here. And right now I'm obviously working with this yellow trend line as well, just drawing off these two tops and kind of getting a reaction there. So I'm interested up here. There's a bunch of confluence. The daily risk line for the TD is up there. We have the resistance, the trendline resistance, and then this previous channel support now offering resistance, which if you want to see what that looks like, it's just this big channel. It's done a really good job of containing structure, just like that Tesla channel. So, yep. So right now, the daily chart, we currently saw a double bottom. I guess you wouldn't really even consider double bottom. It's really just basing. Like if we zoom into the hourly time frame, you'll just see a bunch of basing here off those previous resistance levels, which again is a good sign, right? You want to see that stair-step pattern up. So let's see here. Let's check out the hourly time frame, the hourly trend. Okay, so this trade set up on what was it, Wednesday, I guess, looking for potential trades on Thursday. Played out decently well today, at least for just that little bounce play. Nice little bounce to chop it up, and I wouldn't blame you if you're trying to build a position here, right? Like if you were bottom fishing these lows here, even if you were starting there, all the way down to here, scaling whenever the 5-minute gets oversold, looking for some, for a little bit of bounce to look to set an hourly pivot. I don't hate that at all. I think that's a fine play. I think this might have been hourly oversold. Oh no, not even close, but definitely 5-minute. All right, so still giving some nice bounces there. So we're just going to be mindful of the hourly trend right now. The bulls ideally will continue to defend this little basing structure here and set this higher low here at 58.35. In order for us to be confident that they've done so, we just need to see a higher low and a higher high. There are a couple of higher lows here, but just no higher highs. We've not bounced enough to even set a lower high yet. So either bulls will have to hold this low of 58.35 and break to higher highs of 64.52, or they'll have to bounce a little bit, set a lower high, pull back, and that for a higher low, anything over 58.35, and then break to higher highs over the lower high that they set to see some more daily bounce continuation. All right. And I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if we just, it kind of looks like we're dealing with some kind of channel down here too, right? These two lines are practically parallel. I'm just going to leave them up for now, and we'll use them as guides. This was looking for a little bit deeper of a potential weekly higher low, so I'm going to kill this for now. And if you are scaling, if you scaled in for this trade, I don't hate it. I still don't hate it. I hopefully you've taken some profits and you can be protective. And if we can get hourly oversold conditions into 55.38, I think that's a decent place for some bounce. And if we can get 5-minute extension down here, I think that's good for some 5-minute bounce. Okay, so oversold bounce plays off 55.38 to build positions, I think are very much on the table unless we lose this structure, right? Unless we lose this line in the sand level here, which is not out of the question. You know, don't just assume that it's going to hold, right? It can definitely break down, and it can break down and hold. If it were to break down, I wouldn't be surprised if we found some support here, right? Where this volume picks up again at $50-ish, $49-ish. All right, so hourly oversold down here, also a good play we'll be looking out for. All right, so Workhorse seeing a nice bounce off of these highs over here that we highlighted last week sometime. I forget when. Wow, this is so many lines. Let me just kill some of these lines. All right, so the macro picture, we're just looking at this sideways range, and it's kind of cut into halves. And within the halves, it's also kind of cut in, again, you can see it within this half of this large structure, you can see that it's kind of cut into half here, like right around here. So we were looking for this basing here to potentially hold. And when it broke down lower, you know, we were saying if anybody hasn't been in a trade a little bit lower down into these tops on the hourly, which is marked off by this level here, 21.85, on the hourly makes for a bunch of pivots that looking for plays down there in hourly oversold was also a fine play. And I believe we did get that. And so the bounce is seeing some follow through now, and bears are just looking to set a daily lower high under 27.99. We're watching this trendline resistance, and of course, all of these tops that got put in up here at right around $30. So watching the hourly trend is questionable. It had this, you know, ton of volume poured in at the end of the day. So I'm not sure what, oh, that was probably the Biden stuff, right? So yeah, we're just looking for the potential of the upper range to get tested, right? Whenever range bound, you know, we just look for those ranges to get tested, the limits of the ranges to get tested. So right now, this basing, the bulls are trying to break out of it. We have a higher low here at 23.30. If the bulls can break to, they actually already have in after hours, have broken to higher highs over 25.77. So we're just looking for more daily bounce follow through, watching those resistances, and again, being mindful that there's just a lot of bullish hype in this sector. So be careful with shorts. Maybe, if anything, shorts should be more like hedge style plays, right? Maybe trying to get like some credit spreads against your holdings, okay? All right, so XPEV daily trend is still bullish. This base over here is holding above. You can see, again, we care about these levels because they were previous tops. They failed to hold that support before, but now it looks like the bulls are showing up to defend these levels. That being said, could this be a huge weekly EQ and just continue to tighten up? Absolutely. And so if we were to check our fib pull, we're past the golden, which is a decent look, right? If you get a little front run on the golden and harsh rejection, that's not a great look. But if you can break the golden, then that's a pretty good look, because I guarantee you there are a lot of algorithms programmed just for that trade alone, just for the golden holds. Although I believe I'm in log form. Ooh, that's not good. For linear form, this is not good, and I would lean towards linear here. So ideally, we'll see some more bounce follow through to get over the 60.36 level and break the golden retracement on a linear scale. Anyway, so the daily trend, however, you know, is still fine. It's healthy. It's grinding up. We're being mindful of that potential weekly EQ, and so it's time to pay attention, honestly, right now. Like, we're in the area where that weekly lower high could be set, and so if we zoom into the hourly trend, this is not a good look, right? The odds of setting an hourly lower high under 60.04 for XPEV is very good. And if that's the case, if the bears are able to set a lower high under 60.04 and break to lower lows under 51.66, they'll change that hourly trend to the, you know, bearish, and we'll be scouting for a daily higher low with anything over. I would consider this the last significant daily higher low. I'm going to kill this wedge. We don't need to look at this wedge anymore. Well, I guess I can just hide it. And this support line is still very much in play. You know, so I still like plays down here. If you can get hourly oversold down here, looking for pivots, I like that very much. Looking for a daily pivot, I mean. So let's see where we would get extended. Just a bit lower. And price will come up to meet it a little bit. So something like that. I don't hate that at all. I like this trade, this zone of interest for XPEV going forward. All right, so we're just really watching for these ranges to be affirmed or not. If we can hold above this range, it would be very bullish, and we would not anticipate this weekly EQ. If we collapse from here back down into here, there will be bottom fishing this low here of 37.50 for that weekly EQ potential. All right. And plug, breaking out of this hourly channel, well, let's check in on the weekly chart first. Weekly chart is, from a TD perspective, is still very healthy, and we are in this prior consolidation range. Wow, that monthly chart is super bullish, right? To get that 9 and then get a big green 1, pop over it, that would be amazing. If we could close this day, this month, strong with as this green 1, I think plug still has, it's crazy to think about it, but I think it has more legs. So anyway, we are in this prior consolidation area over here, right? So we're being mindful of that. And I've drawn this white box to kind of frame this whole area. So that's what we're looking at over here right now when we zoom into present day. And so really, if we come down to the low end of the box, I really wouldn't be surprised to find some support down here, looking for a weekly higher low with anything over 22.25 being one. All right, so checking the daily chart. Daily chart's just kind of sideways, right? It's a potential flag right now where, although we've broken out of the structure, it's possible that we just have something that's more similar to this, right? So I'm just going to leave this up here for now. I'm going to kill this because we're likely, it doesn't look like we'll get that deep, and if we do get deep like that, I don't know if I love that trade as much anymore. So the daily trend is sideways. It is actually, no, I'm wrong. It's bullish actually. Oops. We have this lower high here. We have this low, lower high, higher low, and we've broken down higher highs, but we've not seen much follow through. So we are just watching this kind of pennant flag-like structure on the hourly time frame. We were watching this this potential channel that, and it only had 2 touches, and then we grinded it a bit and popped above. You can see we have a nice back test here. So there's the potential that we're leaving this structure. This structure is already being negated. Maybe it's not that this is the new structure, or that this is the actual structure, but maybe this is it, and we're potentially moving on. Got a nice back test of the previous resistance line as support. So we'll just watch this hourly trend and see if we can see some more follow through. Ideally, the bulls will show up tomorrow and defend 63.15 and break to higher highs over 70.58, and then we'll look for more daily bounce follow through, and potentially look for some resistance at the high end of that prior consolidation range, which is around 95 bucks. All right. But if we break down into these, into these lows over here, I don't hate it at all. I actually rather like it. Bottom fishing plays and hourly oversold conditions down into these supports, looking to just kind of go sideways and maybe, get some bear breaks with minimal follow through to benefit from. Okay. I wouldn't be surprised if this kind of, evens out a little bit. Yep. All right. And finally, ZAIR has not yet pulled back enough for well, no, I'm sorry, it has. Excuse me. It's not pulled back into the range that I would be primarily interested in. So let's see. We're looking for a daily higher low. Anything over 465 will be one. And if we look at the hourly chart, we'll see that the trend is bearish, but also kind of sideways now, right? So it's a bearish trend, but now we've defended this higher low and we're kind of EQing sideways. So ideally we'll get down here, that would be great. So now I don't know if I would love the 382 as much. I would rather get a bit deeper like this, come back and test these highs over here, get the hourly oversold, come test the channel, catch the hourly Vegas wave, all of these things coming together here. I like that much better, and I bet you, yep. So if you look at the linear scale, then it lines up a lot better with the golden does. I mean, actually, what am I saying? Yeah, not really. It's not much of a difference. Anyway, so I like this zone down here, 62-ish to you can scale all the way down, right? This is how I would have it set up, probably in the most aggressive form, like so. And I doubt there are options on this name, so you kind of just have to, size appropriately, right? Alrighty, so I think that about covers it. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you all soon.